Well, hello there. Welcome to our Friday night postgame show, week 3 of the high school football season. And I had a good game tonight, 17-14. Hamilton Southeastern pulls out a win over Avon in a game that, it was sorry about the light's not always the best at these postgame shows. It was a game that really came down to a lot of defense and a couple big special teams plays with about three minutes left in the game or so. Avon was about to get the ball back. It's been actually 4:51 left. Avon was about to get the ball back on a punt by HSE, and HSE did punt. They had fourth and forever, fourth and probably 30 yards, had to punt. Ball comes down, and the officials ruled that it hit a player on the Avon side. A decision that was kind of disputed by Avon. Coach Rob Gibson said after the game, hey, it didn't come down to that one play necessarily, but it did lead to a field goal that HSC got there in the final, probably about 3:13 left, I think it was. And HSC goes on and wins 17-14. Avon got the ball back. They get down to about midfield, took it down to 4, converted one fourth down, had another fourth down that they couldn't get, fourth and about 6. And then HSC able to run out the clock to about 9 seconds left. And at that point, they punted, and Avon got the ball back 2.8 seconds left. And really couldn't do anything. They tried a little trick play, but they were, 70 yards away. So not much of an opportunity there. So HSC goes on to win 17-14. HSC will now have the Mudsock game next week against Fishers, and Avon will play Brownsburg. So 2 huge games next week, but really impressed. Avon really, Jace Cameron had a good game, well over 200 yards passing on the game. I think I had him for 227. Kind of was able to spray the ball around some different receivers. Curry's a really good player, Sean Curry for Avon, receiver, really good playmaker for Avon. I know a frustrating game. They just couldn't quite finish off some drives. HSC made some plays defensively, and just kind of a little bit of a sloppy game. Michael Kelly said that as much. HSC's coach, just kind of a little bit of a sloppy game, but Avon, just couldn't capitalize on some of their drives. They get into HSC territory, not be able to finish, and that's credit to HSC's team as well. But I know a frustrating game. I'm going to try to bring Akeem Glassby on here. Akeem, can you hear me? I can't hear Akeem, unfortunately. I'm having trouble hearing him for some reason tonight. Maybe we'll try again here to bring him in. We'll let him try something there. Hopefully to get Akeem on. He had the Plainfield Mooresville game tonight. I'm not sure what's going on with the audio there. Unfortunately, try one more time. Akeem, I can see him.
Oh, can you hear me now?
There we go.
Oh, okay. I might have been muted or something. I don't know. I thought I turned everything up, but I think we figured it out.
Thank goodness. I was hoping to bring you in first, and I had to filibuster there for a minute. But so I know Plainfield won. I don't know any of the details, Akeem, but tell us how that game went tonight. Was it the Quakers control that one?
Yeah, so Plainfield won 34-14. It was tied at 1 point 14-14, and then Plainfield, they kind of dominated the second half. Quarterback Bryce Sabank, I hope I'm pronouncing his last name right. He connected with Xander Nadam for 4 touchdowns. So that was kind of the main kind of game plan for the offense there. Tyler Denny had a pick 6 that tied it at 14, and then, like I said, it was just kind of all Plainfield from there. Just their passing attack was just very precise and on time, and Mooresville didn't really have an answer. Mooresville's offense was kind of relying on big plays from Tyler Denny. And then I talked to Coach Bless after the game, and he's like, "Yeah, we had a plan for Tyler. He's a really good player, but after that, Mooresville couldn't really move the ball, so that kind of swung the game in Plainfield's favor in the second half once they were able to take Denny away."
How Mooresville's offense do tonight? I know they've had a good passing attack. Connor Cruz and that group have really got off to a good start this season. Plainfield able to kind of hem them in tonight.
Yeah. So, yeah, Tyler Denny had a couple big catches. I believe it was the second drive, and he started the game with a fourth down touchdown catch that put him up 7-0. But like I said, after the first couple drives, Plainfield really did a good job taking him away, and Mooresville couldn't get anything going. They didn't have any rushing game outside of some cruise scrambles. And yeah, once Denny was taken away, Mooresville didn't really have any answer offensively. And then Plainfield just they're so methodical with the way they just continue to pass the ball. It's funny, like it'll be 4th and 3 from the 5-yard line. They're going 4 wide and they're going to spread you out and they're going to pass the ball. So they got a little creative on one of the final touchdowns to Xander. Was from like the 3-yard line, a little kind of jet sweep shovel pass for a touchdown. So counts as a touchdown pass in the book, but it's kind of an extended running play. But Mooresville's Plainfield's offense is just very precise. Bryce is just a nice little lefty, kind of field general, can make all the throws, and it was just kind of impressive to watch.
You've seen some good teams this year. Where does Plainfield kind of stack up with the teams? I guess you've seen some different classes of teams as well. But how's Plainfield look compared to some of the other good teams you've seen this year?
It's hard to say because between Cathedral and Roncalli, Franklin Central, I don't know. I would say I would kind of I'd put Plainfield on par with Franklin Central. It's kind of hard to say where Cathedral is because I know they didn't really fare too well against Brownsburg, but and most teams don't. So, just their offense is very precise. Again, I was very impressed by Bryce Sabank. Seemed to have a really good grasp of the offense, and just talking to him after the game, him and Xander have been friends for a long time. Xander battled injuries early in his career and kind of didn't really get to play a lot of varsity until now, and he's kind of showing that he could be a go-to option in the offense. So yeah, they have playmakers. Defensively, they played really well, keeping Mooresville off the scoreboard in the second half. So I mean, with an offense that can be, it's pass heavy, but they can run what they need to when they need to, and a defense that can defend the pass. That can keep you in a lot of games.
That Plainfield team now 3-0, playing Perry. Perry Meridian actually got a big win tonight over Franklin, 15-7. So Perry now 2-1 on the season, and the Mid-State's always just kind of a wacky conference as far as close games and teams that are very even. You don't all 8 teams seem like they can beat each other on a given night, but Plainfield stacks up. I would say it's going to be interesting. You've seen Cathedral too, but they're in the same sectional together in 5A. New Pal's in that too, so that's really going to be hard for either of those teams to get through New Pal. But Plainfield's a top 10 team. I think they're ranked 7th this week in Class 5A. So it'd be interesting to see kind of how they navigate that Mid-State Conference schedule the rest of the way. Including Decatur Central out there. They play them in week 6, but some tough games ahead for that group. What did Tyler Bless have to say after the game?
Yeah, again, it was just kind of just staying kind of with the game plan. Like I said, Mooresville got a touchdown off a pick 6, and just talking to Bryce after the game, he was like, it was communication. The wide receiver saw one thing, he saw another. The pass goes long and leads to the interception, but they actually went back to that same play later and had success. So just saying, that they trust their guys, they trust their game plan, and that, and defensively their game plan was to take away Tyler Denny, and they had success doing that in the second half. So that's kind of what they did, and they stuck to the script and were able to kind of control the game in the second half.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Again, that was Plainfield beating Mooresville tonight, 35-14 at Mooresville. So how was the crowd tonight, Akeem?
Yeah, it was pretty kind of a lively on both sides. The Plainfield crowd was definitely feeling themselves at the end of the game, saying like, "This is our house." I don't know if it was some chippiness kind of later in the game. Maybe, yeah, probably some chippiness late in the game, but yeah, it was a pretty lively crowd on both sides, so it was nice to see.
I had some of that in my game too, which I'll touch on here. But yeah, that's a good rivalry game. A lot of these conference games starting this week, week 3 usually. We're kind of in full swing of conference play. So, Akeem, looking good. And have you lost some weight?
Yeah, that's what Clark said. So I've been riding high since he told me that. It's been a couple weeks now. So thanks, Kyle. Thanks for noticing.
Absolutely. At any rate, you're looking good. So, thanks for joining me again as always, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yep. See it.
Thank you, sir. All right, thanks to Akeem Glaspie. That was a 35-14 tonight. He had the Plainfield-Mooresville game, and you can read more of Akeem's work on that game at IndyStar.com later this evening. I think he's actually got some stuff up now, or we got some photos up now. Check out all the roundup and everything at IndyStar.com as well. Some more, wanted to roll through some games here tonight. Touched on my game earlier. I'll get into that a little bit more here, but some of the top 10 games tonight, teams ranked in the top 10 in the state. Brownsburg had no trouble. I'm going to have Rich Torres on here in a few minutes to talk about Brownsburg, Franklin Central. Brownsburg won 35-7, and I know it was a 35-0 game. Pretty much a running clock, I believe, in the second half. So we'll touch on that game briefly here with Rich. And so, yeah, number 1, Brownsburg wins. Center Grove wins easily. Center Grove number 2 in 6A, 55-0 over Marion. Carmel likewise, easy win tonight over Centerville, Ohio, 48-0. Carmel ranked number 3 in Class 6A. My game was HSE 17-14 over Avon, so that's the number 5 and 6 teams in 6A. HSE wins that 17-14. Westfield beat Zionsville. That game, I believe, was 3-0 at halftime, but Westfield goes on to win 27-3 over Zionsville. Got the offense going, it looks like, in the second half of that game. Lawrence North 32-7 over East Central. East Central ranked number 3 in Class 5A. Lawrence North number 10 in 6A. So a big win for the Wildcats tonight. That's an interesting game just from a standpoint of teams who you wouldn't normally see play each other. So good win tonight for the Wildcats. The Fishers ranked just outside the top 10. They beat Noblesville 42-17 tonight. Again, Fishers HSE next week, the Mudsock game. That game always a lot of fun. Should be a huge crowd next week. I believe that game's at Fishers. So Warren Central, they're just outside the top 10 in 6A. They beat North Central easily, 49-7. I was a little surprised that was such a lopsided game. I thought North Central might give them a better game, but Warren rolls 49-7. In 5A, number 1 New Pal beats Yorktown 35-10. Elsewhere in our area, Cathedral lost to Cincinnati St. Xavier, actually 24-6. Plainfield, like you heard, defeated Mooresville 35-14. And in 4A, the big game tonight, Chittard beat Roncalli 33-11. Chittard led that game throughout. I think it was 19-3 at halftime. So good test pass there for Chittard. Those teams, again, they could see each other down the road in Class 4A in that sectional. So that those rivals, could very well meet again. Beech Grove just outside the top 10, but they steamrolled Cecina tonight, 60-14. Beech Grove, very talented team. I would expect they'll be ranked in 4A next week. Pendleton Heights stayed undefeated as well, ranked number 10 in 4A, beat Newcastle 35-0. And then in 3A, Cascade beat North Putnam. Cascade ranked 3rd, 42-6. And Tri-West lost to Triton Central. That was a good game. Triton Central won 17-14 over Tri-West. Those teams both ranked number 7. Triton Central in 2A, Tri-West in 3A. So very good game there. I know they started a trophy, an I-74 trophy in that new conference, the Hoosier Legends Conference. So the trophy will go back on the road to Triton Central. They'll take that back with them to home tonight down on the other side of 74, on the east side of 74. So Let's bring in Rich, and hopefully his audio is working. Hello, Rich.
Hello, Kyle. Can you hear me?
I got you, man.
Nice, nice. I'm in my mobile studio once again. So,
I hear you. I'm not
all
going to
right.
keep you long because I know you're on the move here, but and also your game didn't seem like it was all that much to write home about necessarily. How would you describe your game? You had Brownsburg, Franklin Central.
Yep. 35-7 win for Brownsburg. It was suspenseful for about the first 2 minutes, and then, yeah, Brownsburg just kind of kicked it into gear. Scored on their first 5 drives. Defense was outstanding. They had 4 sacks in the first half. Special teams got a block punt. Set up, I believe, it was 3 short fields in the first half. And Brownsburg, Oscar Fry, quarterback, by himself this year because last year he split time. This year it's his team, and he's taken over that offense. He's pretty comfortable, and it's probably the coolest thing. Wasn't even the game, in my opinion, was after the game because it was their youth football night,
Hmm.
and tons of kids coming up to Oscar wanting photos, selfies, autographs, so you arrived when you're a high school quarterback. When you got grade schoolers coming after you, trying to get a piece of history. I mean, obviously they started out ranked 21st in the nation. Now they're 15th. They're 3-0, and they're 1-0 in the conference. And it was, the running clock was pretty much secured with 4 minutes and 38 seconds left in the first half when they went up 35-0. And Franklin Central, they fought hard. I'm not going to sit here and say that they were a pushover by any means, but they're new. They have a new quarterback. I mean, it's kind of a rebuilt offense in a way. So they couldn't really execute on those third downs. And when you're facing a defense like Brownsburg has, which is just stout, unbelievably quick, you could just see it. The pressure that they were applying in the pocket, it was pretty outstanding. So I can understand how they shut out Cathedral last week, and how they basically almost shut out Franklin Central. They got their touchdown in the second half with the running clock, with a lot of backups in. So at least they didn't get blanked. So
Yeah.
that's a victory in itself. But Brownsburg, I've seen Carmel play, and I've seen Brownsburg, and hands down, in my opinion, right now, I mean, they're both built to win. And Brownsburg, obviously, um, they had to kind of go through the fire last year, win the first state championship in program history since '85. And they had to get past Ben Davis in that crazy game in the postseason, and then bounce back from that HSC loss in the regular season,
Hmm.
which was just kind of weird, since they were rolling all year. And this year, I think they learned from those mistakes, and Coach Hart kind of mentioned that it's like, it's not the next man up mentality, but the next play mentality. And I believe the quote was, "There are a lot of cats out there everywhere," So like that means that he knows that in this conference, in 6A football in Indiana, man, it's anybody's game any week. It doesn't matter if you're rolling in undefeated, if you haven't given up a touchdown all season, that night could be the night, and he wants to make sure those guys aren't going to give up those points when they need to keep them down, and they need to keep scoring and keep winning. So,
Well, I'll tell you, I think I saw their opponent next week. I saw tonight, Avon, and
yeah.
they're a hard hitting team. They are a talented team. They got beat tonight, so we'll see how they bounce back. Very competitive game tonight, though. That game really could have gone either way. So I'd be curious to see how you know that'll be a test for Brownsburg next week. It's a rivalry game, so you just never know
Yeah.
how those things transpire. But it seems like Brownsburg, and you mentioned that they kind of went through the fire last year. So many close games in the tournament, so many wild finishes. Now it seems like they're kind of a machine that maybe the pressure's off a little bit. I mean, there'll be a different pressure once the tournament starts, but they just seem like they're really rolling right now, and it's hard to believe that they're dominating the way they are. But yeah, they're they're playing at a different level right now.
Well, it's funny to think too. Last year, a lot of their skill position guys were so young.
Hmm.
Like I don't think we really kind of put that together, when we were watching them and what they were doing last year, mainly because you saw the quarterback split. So you had a senior and you had a sophomore. Now you have a junior quarterback who's kind of stepping into his own. And then, the Brandon Sharp, who had a huge
Hmm.
game last week, 200 plus yards, 2 touchdowns, and he's only a junior.
Hmm.
And then Avon Robinson tonight, he was the primary leading receiver, statistically speaking. And he's the senior, But and then from the running attack too. I mean, with Sumter Bay, being a senior, and then Brady Lewis as well. I mean, you just they can beat you in so many different ways. It's impressive offensively what they can do, and then when you mix in just that defensive pressure that they put on people, I believe it was let's see, yeah, here we go. First half, passing wise, Franklin Central went 2 for 10 for 29 yards. So like a
Wow.
lot of incompletions, a lot of tight coverage in the secondary, and then rushing wise, they only gave up 15 rushing yards in the first half. And then you add in those 4 sacks, so it's and then obviously short fields on special teams coverage. They can beat you in so many different ways, and they have so many different guys at so many different age group levels. I guess when you look at it, from juniors to seniors, and yeah, they did. They kind of went through that fire last year when they were young, and now that they're older, it's like that confidence is just swelling, and you can
Hmm.
see it. And it's but you're right about Avon. I mean, they got to go to Avon,
Hmm.
and Avon, they just have that knack for pulling those big games, and
Hmm.
especially like you said, bouncing back. I mean, they're gonna be hungry, coming back next week or after this week. And Brownsburg, they just kind of how they're looking at it right now. They see the national rankings, they see the number one in the polls, they feel that target, but they're still hungry, which is phenomenal because that's what you want from a state champion, right? You don't want a state champion to be like, well, we did that, this can be easy. No, they firmly believe, almost like last year didn't even happen. Like it's like,
Yeah.
okay, it's all one season and let's just keep it going. So I don't know, they're a really fun team to watch. And when they're at home, I mean, the crowd comes in, they pack the house. So it was a good atmosphere tonight. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I will look forward to seeing what look forward to reading your story, and then look forward to seeing what happens next week as well. And yeah, I talked to Mason Kiefer after last year, who graduated. He was on that defensive line last year, and he said, I think they can win the next 2 years. And you never know, but the way the skill positions line up, and then a lot of defensive guys who are new, so they're a lot of those guys are just starting now to get their feet wet. So, who knows? But it's hard in 6A to win 2 in a row, let alone say you can win 3 in a row. I know that's a very difficult. Center Grove did it, and that's pretty much it. So,
Yeah.
but it's hard to do that, and they're going to have a target on them, and we'll see what happens. But right now, man, it looks pretty good. So,
Yeah, they're rolling along, man. Well, I do want to mention, I'm probably gonna butcher his name. He's a junior defensive lineman. Is it Dami Suami? Is that
yeah,
okay?
Dami. Yep.
Wow, nice. I got it right in the first try. He had 3 sacks in the first half, so I have
Oh
to
wow.
highlight him, man. He came in and he was all over their backfield and their quarterback. So he had a standout performance, in my opinion. Obviously, Oscar Fry, 4 touchdown passes. I mean, that's a standout performance too. Didn't even have to eclipse 200 yards either. Longest pass was to the Sharp 54-yard touchdown. So yeah, just if you want to find a star from the game, you can just go up and down the roster tonight.
Absolutely. Well, Rich, thanks for taking time, and look forward to seeing what you have written. And we'll talk to you next week.
No problem, man. Take it easy.
All right, Rich. Thanks.
Yep.
Again, that's Rich Torres. He had the Brownsburg game tonight, 35-7. Brownsburg beats Franklin Central, and they, like I said, they'll play at Avon next week. They are not unanimous, actually. There's one vote for Crown Point for number one in our USA Today Network Indiana poll. So we have one holdout from that. I don't know what Brownsburg has to do to get that vote. We might have to bring that voter on to discuss his vote with us at some point. But so anyway, I was running down the top games of the night, or the top 10 teams who were playing in the top 10 tonight. There were quite a few blowout games tonight, especially in 6A. I think my game was about the only one that was a close game among teams in the top 10. That was the HSC Avon game. And I'm going to touch on that a little bit more here in a second. But wanted to go through. There were a couple of upsets from elsewhere in the state. And I did see that Jasper beat Evansville Reitz tonight. Evansville Reitz, ranked number 4 in 4A, lost to Jasper 20-14. So that's a little bit of a surprise, and a little bit of a local tie there with Jasper coach is Derek Hart, who coached at obviously John Hart's son, the Brownsburg coach, but coached at North Central and has coached at Kankakee, was the former Warren Central quarterback several years ago. So Jasper gets a big win tonight, and was looking down. I thought I saw one other. I guess Tri-West losing is a bit of an upset to Triton Central, but yeah, that might be it. Oh, and Lutheran also. Lutheran, ranked number 2 in Class 2A, loses to Western, which, Western's a little bit bigger school. They're a 3A school, but 46-14. So we haven't seen Lutheran lose by that margin, or let alone lose at all, very often. So that was a bit of a surprise, or a bit of an upset, I'd say, even though Western's a little bit bigger of a school. And also South Putnam, ranked number 1 in Class 1A. They lost 31-30 to Edgewood tonight. Edgewood, again, they're a 3A program, so a lot bigger school. So I don't know if you necessarily call that an upset, but at any rate, the number 1 team in 1A, South Putnam, goes down to defeat tonight. And also, I did see one other. I lost my. Well, at any rate, I thought I'd seen one other. Milan. There was another 1A game. Milan and North Decatur. North Decatur, ranked number 3 in 1A, beat Milan tonight 21-20. So ranked number 3, North Decatur, number 9, Milan. So that's not necessarily an upset, but 2 top 10 teams playing each other in that game. So again, my game 17-14. It wasn't the like Michael Kelly said from HSC, not the prettiest game. A little bit sloppy here and there. Some penalties that kind of some offsetting penalties of unsportsmanlike or late hits and stuff like that. It was just that type of game a little bit, which, hey, nothing wrong. It's just, 2 teams really getting after it. There was a little bit in the handshake line after with the couple assistants, kind of going back and forth. Not a huge deal or anything, but definitely I think it just kind of shows the competitiveness of the teams and, getting after it and wanting to win, just that sort of thing. There's nothing, nothing too malicious or anything like that, but just a hard fought game. I was impressed with Avon. I thought there was different times where I thought, they came down and scored, kind of, ran the ball well on that drive. That was in the second half to tie it up at 14 all. And I thought maybe their physicality there was starting to take the game over a little bit. And then when they got the ball back, or were about to get the ball back with 4 and change left, I thought they might have, command a little bit, but the ball apparently bounced off a Avon player. HSC gets it at the 30. Didn't have to move too far. They end up getting a 27-yard field goal, moved 20 yards on that drive. And also a lot of that was off. Avon had a penalty after that for arguing that call. So that moved the ball to 15, actually. So then HSC only had to move it 5 yards and then kick the field goal to get the win. So, 17-14. And then, Avon had it back, had a chance, got to about the 50. I'm going to have to go through that a little bit, see how far. I think it was right around the 50, and had a 4th and 6, could not convert it. And that essentially, allowed HSC to run the clock out. Like I said, they had, I think, 9.3 seconds when they punted. So about 2.5 seconds were left. They had one play basically and had to try to run like a hook and ladder. Didn't go too far. So that was the end of the game. But, Avon, I think, is still going to be a handful. I think they're really talented. They have wins over Decatur Central and Ben Davis already this season. Curry at receiver is big time playmaker. I was really impressed with him tonight. Jace Cameron, their quarterback, just makes good plays. I mean, he's smart lefty, good decision maker, gets the ball where it needs to be, can tuck it and run if needed. And this was a game last year where he got hurt and missed most of the rest of the season. So it was good to see him back out there and be able to finish this game. And, I think he's going to be a big key for them moving forward. They've got, tough schedule. HCC schedule's no joke. Brownsburg next, and they later down the line will have Fishers, Westfield, so they've got some other tough opponents on the schedule. But I think they're a team that could win 6 or 7 games. I really do, and then be a handful in the sectional as well. But HSC wins it tonight again, 17-14 over over Avon. The other game, was the game I meant to meant to mention here was Heritage Christian. I saw that score just a minute ago. They lost to Guerin Catholic 28-25. So that was another top 10 game. Heritage Christian was number 9 in Class 2A. They lose by a field goal to Guerin Catholic in that game. So another close game, that involved the top 10 team. I think I mentioned most of the other major scores. I was looking through here to see what else. Delta beat Shelbyville 24-7. Decatur Central 29-14 over Whiteland. Danville beat Anderson 49-6. Addicts beat Tinley 52-12. Columbus North 54, Southport 0. Centerville beat Eastern Hancock 38-27. That was another game. I was interested to hear what happened in that. Cascade beat North Putnam 42-6. Cascade off to a really good start this season. Ben Davis also 31-14 over Pike. So Ben Davis gets in the win column for the first time this season. And Pike now 0-3 so far this year. Lawrence Central 61-21 over Edwardsville. That game was really close last year. Went down to the wire. Indian Creek 52-28. Indian Creek 3-0 for the first time since 2014. Harrison beats Burbuff 32-21. Hamilton Heights over Tippecanoe Valley 35-19. Greenwood Christian beat Phelan Academy 50-0. Greenfield Central, that's another game I thought would be close, and it was. They beat Mount Vernon 24-21 in that one. I mentioned earlier Plainfield beat Mooresville. Akeem talked to us about that, 35-14. Perry Meridian, mentioned that earlier too, beat Franklin 15-7. Park Tudor over Shortridge 28-0. New Pal beat Yorktown 35-10. Monrovia beat Kokomo. That's a Monrovia kind of punching above its weight class there. Wins at 22-15. Martinsville over Greenwood 38-20. Lebanon beat West Lafayette in a wild one 37-34. We'll be curious to hear how that one went. Lawrenceburg beat Speedway 42-0. Providence beat Cardinal Ritter 28-7. And South Decatur beat Edinburgh 35-6. Elsewhere, Washington beat Crystal House 30-0. I mentioned Western beat Lutheran 46-14. Western Boone 41-17 over Crawfordsville. And Westfield beat Zionsville 27-3. And I think that's should about cover everything as just far as the scores go. Again, you can go to IndyStar.com. You can find out all of the scores and all the information from tonight. We'll have a lot more as far as stories go, highlights, videos, and whatnot, and I'll post this so it'll be up here later as well. So again, my game tonight, 17-14, HSC over Avon. And, like I said, it was a good night of football. It rained a little bit, missed it up here, of course, sort of sprinkled a little bit, but that was about it. Didn't have too much. I know there's a little bit more on the south side tonight as far as the rain goes, but 3 really good nights of weather. So we will appreciate that while we get it. It's probably not going to last much longer. But again, thanks for joining me here. We'll have lots more this weekend. Snap judgments on Sunday morning. The Monday morning quarterback column on Monday, and all of our stuff throughout the week. So stay tuned. We'll have a lot more coverage at IndyStar.com. Thanks for joining me here.